How's it going, everyone? Welcome to my series. This is going to be on the trophy room or man cave, and basically going through all the different stories of all these different deer and trophies throughout the year. I'll be giving a lot of different tips and hints that I've learned, so hopefully that it'll help somebody. If you could, before we get started, go over and hit the like and subscribe button on our YouTube channel, Hunting the Missouri, and I'm just going to go through and show some of these stories. The first volume or first episode is actually going to be on getting started. And I'll just start from the beginning. This is my dad's first buck right here. That is a 7-point. We killed that in Florida on public land. I think it was November or December of 2000. I grew up in a little place called Weehawken, Florida, and that's where it all got started for me. My first gun I got was a 20 gauge single shot, and then my first rifle I got, which would be a great gun for a young kid or somebody, like if you got your wife or whatever, a female that is getting into the sport as well, which I would, recommend. My wife loves it. My little girl loves going out to the woods as well. So make sure that you try to take somebody out with you. But a 243 is a great little round. It doesn't have a lot of recoil. And that's what I killed this deer right here with. This is a 6-point. Kind of hard to see. But anyway, that was my first deer. I killed him in January 20th of 2001. I believe that was the date. So yeah, I was 10 years old. And I'll never forget that day and the experience that happened. I can remember me and my dad, we had went out, and I think it was around 11:30, late mid-morning, like almost midday. And, we'd been out there since daylight, so we were getting ready to leave. And we just happened to look down, and I seen a deer. I'm like, Dad, there's a deer. And he's like, okay. And so we're looking. He's like, I don't see it. And I was like, it's right there. And he said, okay. He said, well, if you can see it, go ahead and shoot him. So I got my gun up, aim, boom. I shot, and the deer didn't move. I couldn't see nothing. And I'm like, man, I missed him. I'm like, somebody's playing a trick and put a decoy out or something, because this deer ain't moving. And so all of a sudden, I'm looking, he's not moving. I'm like, he's still there. He said, well, shoot him again. So, I got that little single shot 243, put it right on him, right behind the shoulder. Boom! And he dropped right in his tracks. I broke the barrel, stuck another round in there, and he got up. And so I cocked that hammer back again. Boom! Dropped him again. And could not believe it. Deer are just so tough. He got up again, and I reloaded. I cocked the hammer. I'm aiming, getting ready to shoot him a third time. My first shot missed, and then, obviously my second shot, I hit him right behind the shoulder. My third shot, after he got up again, I hit him, and the bullet was, like an inch apart. I smoked him both times, double lung. He had stood back up, and I was getting ready to shoot it the fourth time and shoot. That would have been the third time I shot him. But my dad's like, you got him, let him go. So he ran about 10 yards and piled up. When I shot him, I thought it was a full point, as you can tell. He looks like a pronghorn, but I couldn't see those forks. But it was just a lot of fun. I'll never forget that. And just a great experience. So if you've never taken a kid out, or if you've never hunted yourself, no matter how old you are, if you got any questions, hit me up in the comments, hit me up on Facebook. I'll be more than willing to try to help somebody out. That was a public land deer. My next deer I got is this little guy right here. This is a goofy deer. I'll try to add some photos in of this deer, but this was out on one of my buddy's properties. He had a hunting lease, invited me out, and they said there was a 6-point in the area that had a real bad limp, and he wanted me to come out, and they told me where the stand was. So me and my dad were sitting there, and it was a real foggy morning. My dad was looking down the lane. We were in a condo stand or a box blind. There's a couple different directions or lanes you could see. But my dad had just got and put his gun out the window and was looking through his scope. So I was like, hey, can I look through my gun? He said, yeah, sure. So he pulled his in. I put my gun out. So I'm looking. As soon as I get down there, I see some movement. I'm like, I think I just seen something. And it was like, it looked like the flicker of an ear. And so I get down. I'm like, oh, yeah, there's a deer. And then here he come limping out. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a buck. It's a buck. My dad said, are you sure? I'm like, I'm positive, 100%. I can see his horns. He said, all right, well, that's probably that 6-point. He said, go ahead and shoot him. So, you know, I cocked the hammer back, put it on. Boom! He dropped right there. I'm like, oh, my goodness. I'm like, yes. And this was my second buck that I'd ever killed. Pretty neat. I ended up walking down there. As you can tell, his rack is crooked. Like, this is how his rack was on his head. Completely crooked. He was just a goofy deer. I'll put some pictures in of that deer, but we go down there, and I could not believe it. It was a 3-legged deer. This deer only had 3 legs, you know, from about right here, you know, about where the elbow would be on the deer. There down was completely gone. So I don't know if he had been shot previously and lost it, or if he had got caught in a fence, or a coyote had caught him, or whatever the case was. But, you know, I got him, and that was a 3-legged deer. Pretty cool experience, cool story. You know, I also started bow hunting. You know, this here is my first ever bow buck in Florida. But I'll do that on a different series. That first series that I'm doing is mainly on, you know, starting out and getting started. This one here is a 5-point. I had another buddy who was in a lease, and he invited me out to go. So I was sitting in his stand, and I couldn't remember. It was freezing cold. You know, it was probably high 30s, low 40s, but I wasn't really dressed for it. I was really young. You know, I killed this buck, this one here I killed in 2002. And then that 5-point, I ended up killing him. I'm not really sure. I know it was after, it might have been 03 or 04, possibly I think it's 03 or 04 for this buck. But, I can remember getting out in the stand, you know, there in Florida, you were allowed to bait, so there was corn out, had some deer come out, and, you know, I got my gun, got it all lined up, cocked back, boom, I shot at him, and, I can remember I'm trying to remember on that one, I shot another deer out of that same stand, so I know one of them went around to the right and piled up. This one here, I remember now, I shot him, and he ran to the left, and then he ended up piling up. He went probably 40 yards, but I shot him with a 243. I shot this one with a 243. This one here, I shot with a 243. That one, the 3-legged deer, that was a 153-yard shot at, you know, that would have been 12 years, or I'm sorry, that was 03, so I would have been 13 years old. That was the furthest shot I've ever made on a deer. But anyway, so, you know, here's 3 of them, you know, kind of getting started and starting out. So, you know, as far as a tip, I would say, you know, get a good gun. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars or whatever. You know, you can find a good gun. You can even get a used gun for a couple $100. My biggest thing, a tip that I would definitely recommend would be, you know, getting a good scope, because that really does make a difference. You know, having a $50 to $100 scope, they're just not the quality that something like a, you know, $200 or $300 scope would be. You know, you can look into, there's a lot of good scopes out there. Vortex makes a great scope. You know, Nikon, Leupold, there's so many good scopes out there. But just find something, you know, compare them. Go to a gun store or a shop where you can get several in your hands, look at them, you know, see the clarity, see how your eye focuses with it. And that's what I would recommend is, you know, get a good scope where you can see, and also, you know, get a good pair of binoculars. But I've got a lot more deer in here. You know, there's quite a bit up top. And then also, you know, down throughout here, I got, you know, a bunch of different trophies and deer. So I'll be doing some more episodes. But the first one was, volume 1 would be, you know, getting started. And then the second one I'm going to start out is going to be on bow hunting. So this deer is going to be in it. That's a really cool story. You know, got all kinds of different stuff. So should be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. And, you know, like I said before, please like and subscribe. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll try to help anybody out. In this bow series, I'll actually break my bow out, show you, you know, what my bow setup is now, what it was, what deer I killed. This is a bow kill. This one right here is a bow kill. And then this one right here is also a bow kill. So bow hunting is my passion. I absolutely love bow hunting. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So till next time, I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all stay safe out there.